You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
So initially, I think when COVID started, it was pretty okay. It was pretty normal to see clients, like a number of clients increase. It was manageable, and we kept taking on more because we understood the need of it. So I think this started around March, April, and by the time we reached around October, I had a breakdown.
If there's one thing that the past year and the pandemic have taught us, it is the importance of mental health and just how fragile it can be. While it's been great in some ways, amplifying the conversation surrounding mental health, and also with more and more people acknowledging their issues and opting for therapy to cope with them, one question that perhaps slips through the cracks is, how are our therapists coping? Hello everyone, I'm Anushka from Quint and I'm joined here today with three mental health practitioners who are at different stages of their careers and are here to speak to us about what the past year has been like for them and to also share with us what they do to cope. So I'd like to begin with Mohana and Simran. Please tell us about what it's been like being a therapist during the pandemic. Have you experienced an influx of patients? Has that been stressful for you?
Hi Anushka. Yes, last year has been quite a ride. Um, Influx of cases, yes, definitely. Was it stressful? Absolutely. There was definitely a dense feeling of panic and helplessness that we had to deal with. I remember mental health had started coming in the forefront after a few months had passed into the lockdown, right? And we had to see new types of situations crop up in people's lives. And all had to like how basically pivot in either a different direction or keep facing rather difficult situations for a prolonged period of time.
And you, Simran?
So initially, I think when COVID started, it was pretty okay. It was pretty normal to see clients, like a number of clients increase. It was manageable, and we kept taking on more because we understood the need of it. So I think this started around March, April, and by the time we reached around October, I had a breakdown. I started postponing and procrastinating my sessions unknowingly. I started losing the will to work, and which I've never experienced that kind of loss of will to work before. I think I've been in this profession for the last 4 years, and never have I ever felt anything similar to that. And it just started happening so organically when you started dealing with other people's stresses, your family's stress and everything. And it took me a while to realize that, okay, no, like it's not working out for me to like be that kind of a support system.
Right. And is there anything in particular that you can put your finger on that might have triggered this breakdown?
So we also have families who were suffering financially at that point of time and emotionally because, all of us were also again restricted to the same space, a limited space. So a lot of anxiety was there. So in order to manage that and then people coming and talking about the same anxieties, so that became triggering without even me realizing that it was triggering.
And it's such a tricky situation where you, as a therapist or a counselor, is able to relate to your clients on such a personal level because you're going through such similar situations and emotions. So, did that prove to be harder for you, or did it make things easier?
So this being a situation where we could relate and we both of us were anxious about. So I think it was a learning experience for both of us. So yes, we did relate on a lot of things and there was a lot of brainstorming and perspectives coming in. Some of which was brought in by the client and some of which was, contributed by us. So, like I'm sure you know that all the mental health professionals they also have therapists, right? But I think the worst thing about 2020 was being the therapist and the client simultaneously. For a lot of times, you felt like an imposter because you would be on the other side of the chair, other side of the sofa, and you would be answering such things, you would be exploring such things, but again, you take up a role of a client and then again you push your worries, the same fears that you have been helping your clients work through. So I think that was also like a major setback in 2020, like feeling like an imposter. that like created like a very strong sense of helplessness, to be very honest.
Right. And this is where I'd like to bring in Dr. Kamna Chhibber. Dr. Chhibber is the head of the mental health department at Fortis Healthcare, and she's been doing this for over 15 years now. So, hi, Dr. Chhibber, welcome.
Hi.
So, what I'd like to know from you is how do you find being a mental health practitioner during the pandemic different from all your years of experience? Has it been more challenging?
We've all been aware of the fact that we have a paucity of experts, and it has led to an increasing number of people who have reached out to different people, mental health practitioners, and people are overloaded with casework. And it can be challenging in its own ways, stretching and stressing, everyone's coping abilities. And that has certainly been something which has happened to a lot of people who work within the field as well. I think as mental health practitioners, we are often expected to, and also expect our own selves to be able to cope better with situations and have the right kind of resources available to our own selves at all times to be able to take care of ourselves. I think for a lot of people who work within the field, this entire experience has certainly led to an understanding that coping can get compromised, burnout can be experienced, we can all get overwhelmed with stress, and we all need to be very cognizant of our own limits and limitations. And it's very important for us also as mental health practitioners to be able to stand up and say that, okay, this is the boundary, beyond this I cannot do more. And there has to be a line which we too need to kind of adhere to be able to ensure that we are able to provide the best practices, the best care, the most effective and efficacious treatments. And that's only possible if we are aware of what is affecting us and how things are going for us. And I think that has been something which is very important as a learning for all of us as practitioners. One of the biggest ways in which mental health practitioners can also take care of their own selves, their well-being, is of course by engaging in conversations with peers, with supervisors, with mentors and advisors. I think it's very important for us to promote a culture where we learn to support each other through the difficulties that we all go through.
I was in fact thinking that there's such a strong need for a support system for psychologists, like in the sense that there are these group meetings, right? Like Alcoholic Anonymous, and there are these meets that are there. So I really feel that psychologists, they need to come together and have these meets to like let the steam off a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm actually working on starting on a protocol or therapeutic module for people from our profession.
I think that's something that it needs to be cultivated and needs to be encouraged, especially for a lot of the young people who are in the field or who are entering the field. I think it's very important to keep on identifying people around who can be a support system in this way and who can provide the right kind of guidance and support as well.
Yes, definitely. Like, one thing that COVID has definitely taught me is that I can't do it all alone. I need my people around me, either physically or emotionally, to, be there for me. It helped tremendously to know that I was not alone in this, that I got so much of help from my therapist community, be it my supervisor, my colleagues, or mentors. Everyone helped.
Yeah, I can imagine how having a strong professional support system can be really helpful, especially during the pandemic when you're faced with such a heavy workload while you're trying to navigate through this completely alien situation that you have been put in. But apart from that, what are some personal self-care tips that help you get through your day and, deal with your everyday stresses and anxieties?
So the biggest thing that helped me throughout COVID was to keep it simple, in the sense that when it comes to the lifestyle, there was not a lot we could do. And the most difficult thing was to come to terms with that. So I went into therapy, and quite intense therapy, working out at home. And I think reducing the amount of productive hours a day, that helped. because I think the kind of lifestyle we all are in, this kind of, the cycle that we all are in, we are not used to being not productive. And at that point of time with COVID, a lot of things came to a halt. And I think that was like the biggest hit that most of us took. So it kind of brought us in face to face with our biggest fears, all of us. So I think sitting down with those fears, absorbing it, being non-productive, I think was the only way that I was able to come out of it.
If I look at my own self personally, I think there are a few things which were really instrumental in ensuring that I have been able to take care of myself. I think one of the biggest things which was helpful was, of course, maintaining my own routines and having a very good understanding of how much is it that I can do as an individual, and trying to ensure that I have realistic expectations from my own self in terms of both the therapeutic work that I do, as well as the kind of other roles that I would play as a team member, as a team leader, trying to ensure that we are being able to do the maximum that we need to do, whether it is in our roles as practitioners or whether it is in our roles as individuals who also work with schools, with colleges, providing much needed support through workshops, through courses, through internships. So we've had to take care of a lot of those things, and it was very important to ensure that I have a good understanding and I'm aware of what is it that works for me or does not. I think the other aspect has been having your own unwinding routines in place, and that is something that I absolutely would advocate for. One has learned over the years that it is very important to do a digital detox, even though this was a time when we had to take on to our gadgets, our devices, our social media, because we needed to stay connected in some ways, and yet there was a need to try and ensure that there is some sort of a distance from it as well. And I think that was something which was very helpful. So whether it was doing a detox, whether it was trying to get some sort of an exercise routine in place, whether it was about ensuring that there is reading happening, there is unwinding happening through art, through music, I think making sure that there are some of those systems in place was really, really beneficial in ensuring that I was being able to take care of myself, as well as trying to make sure that there are regular breaks integrated into the kind of schedules we have, whether it is between sessions or whether it was after having worked continuously for a few weeks or a couple of months, and trying to take a few days off to make sure that one is rejuvenating and taking care of one's own self, because especially because in the kind of work that we do, it's very important to take care of the self to be able to keep providing the right kind of support system to the patients that we are working with.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.